Everybody, welcome back. It's time to learn about America. Alright, page 89. Jefferson was reflective yet practical, confident yet realistic, in the middle of the maelstrom of 1775. The continuance and the extent of this conflict we consider as among the secrets of Providence, but we also reflect on the propriety of being prepared for the worst events, and so far as human foresight can provide, to be guarded against probable evils at least. He said, "Perhaps a few gentlemen of genius and spirit should be sent to train under General Washington to learn the necessary art of war." Dang, that's kind of cool. So much was unknowable, but the political language of war had to celebrate what had been done and offer hope for darker moments. Jefferson was mastering this complex vocabulary. He knew clearly that Virginia faced a deficiency of military skill, a skill that, in these days of rapine, can only be relied upon for public safety. Public safety. The use of rapine came from the lawyer in Jefferson. It was an ancient legal term for violent seizure of property. Ooh, rapine, violent seizure of property. A rhetorical touch underscoring the view that anyone with property had a stake in the struggle. Property rights are very important. After a visit to Robert Bell's shop on 3rd Street to buy a copy of James Burr's book Political Disquisitions, Jefferson left Philadelphia for Virginia on Tuesday, August 1st, 1775. He stopped along the road at Miss Clay's Inn at Newcastle, Delaware, then continued onward to Chestertown, Annapolis, and Port Royal en route home to Monticello. In the absence of any surviving letters between Jefferson and his wife, the assumption is that he destroyed their correspondence in the interest of privacy. Whew, the NSA won't let you do that today, will it? We can only guess about the tone they used with each other when apart. Given Jefferson's letters to his family and friends throughout his life, though it is likely that he wrote to Patty in rather the way his contemporary Theodoric Bland Jr. wrote his own wife. Bland was a Virginian, a physician, a politician, and a revolutionary, writing his wife, also named Martha, from the front in New Jersey in 1777. Bland said, "For God's sake, my dear, when you are writing, write of nothing but yourself, or at least exhaust that dear, ever dear subject. Before you make a transition to another, tell me of your going to bed, of your rising, of the hour you breakfast, dine, sup, visit. Tell me of anything, but leave me not in doubt about your health. Fear not. Yes, you will again feel your husband's lips flowing with love and affectionate warmth. Heaven never means to separate two who love so well, so soon, and if it does, with what transport shall we meet in heaven?" Wow. That's romantic. Bro, you can't even get people to text like that. You know what I mean? Oh my gosh. With Patty, Jefferson had built the kind of marriage and life he wanted on the mountain. Music and dancing were essential. Jefferson never stopped humming, ordered an Aeolian harp. Oh, that's so old. Harps are beautiful. And paid L5, I think that's £5, for a new violin. In memory, sorry. In memory, he could hear his sister Jane's voice, singing, and in the moment he could sit and listen to Patty play the pianoforte and the harpsichord. The harpsichord is very cool. You can still find a lot of those instruments on YouTube. "Mrs. Jefferson was small," said the slave Isaac Granger Jefferson, "and pretty. She was also busy, both bearing children and presiding over the plantation during her husband's absences. Her account book tracks her daily work, including supervising the slaughter of ducks." That's interesting. "Turkeys, hogs, sheep, and lambs." See, women back then had such strong stomachs. These women, she's like making sure that the animals get slaughtered well. Today, a vegan in their apartment in San Francisco would like be screaming at Twitter on somebody who was maybe killing one of their own chickens to eat. I mean, it's interesting. And could a vegan even grow a soy plant? You know what I mean? Shows you how different we are today, right? How out of touch we really are. She also managed the slaves in the house. The first Monticello, Jefferson eventually tore down the house and started anew in 1790s. It was smaller than the second and final version, but it was still a grand place. The house was built quite recently in the latest Italian style. Ooh, Italiano! A visitor wrote of the first Monticello. This is a colonnade around the structure, and the frieze is very charmingly decorated with all kinds of sculptures drawn from mythology. Ooh, a frieze with mythology on it is actually quite classic, quite definitely very Italian, definitely very Roman. He acquired a chessboard and pieces. I don't know how to play chess anymore. I remember checkers a little bit, but maybe one day I can invest in a very nice chess set and I can try to learn. A Bagamon table? What is that? A refracting telescope? Ooh, that'd be so cool to have a telescope. One day, God willing, I can have one. I can look up at the stars. That'd be cool, man. In the summertime. 8 Venetian blinds, a Scotch carpet. He was always on the watch for lovely things, and always books. Hey, like me. Even the first Monticello had a visitor noted, a copious and well-chosen library. Yes, we all need a good library of books we actually read and care about. If you finish a book and you don't really want it anymore, you can give it away, leave it on a park bench, or put it in the recycle bin. The house itself, an elegant building, the visitor recalled, was only the most vivid expression of Jefferson's wide-ranging mind. From books to languages to music to entertaining to art to architecture, he was constantly learning, experiencing, experimenting, tasting, living. Yeah, I try to do that. Constantly experiencing, experimenting, tasting, living. At Shadwell and at the governor's palace in Williamsburg, he had been taught that there was a vast world to engage and shape. Exactly! The world is, there's so many things you can learn and then, experiment with, learn from. His architectural. Oh, but when it comes to tasting, just don't eat bad soup, okay, fam? His architectural sense was informed by, among other works, James Gibbs' Rules for Drawing the Several Parts of Architecture, an edition of the architecture of A. Palladio. He mused on the painting scheme for his dining room, ordered a copy of Hannah Glass's Art of Cookery Made Plain and Easy, and sent for a cloth press. Jefferson had joined the Philosophical Society for the Advancement of Useful Knowledge. I wonder if that still exists. Founded by Virginians, including his friend John Page, on the model of American Philosophical Society. Oh, I should join that, if that still exists. To which Jefferson was elected in 1780. In 1772, James McClurg, the future director of hospitals for Virginia during the Revolutionary War, published a book entitled Experiments upon the Human Bile. Ugh! Jefferson bought a copy. Ew! Does it mean bile like poo-poo? Following in the tradition of his kinsman John Randolph, the Attorney General, who had lived in a beautiful house, Tazewell Hall, on a 99-acre estate. Dang. Oh, so much space, man. On South England Street in Williamsburg, Jefferson was fascinated by gardening. I have that. I have a very nice garden. Randolph, a loyalist, boo, no loyalist, owned perhaps the best violin in Virginia. Oh, I forgot the name of some of those violins. Oh, I took a music class and I don't remember. But there's a very rare Italian violin. There's only like 500 in the world. It's from a special kind of tree which makes the notes resonate differently. Jefferson long envied it and had written a book, A Treatise on Gardening by a Citizen of Virginia. Dude, I gotta read that. He wrote a book on that. The works of Philip Miller, Bernard McMahon, and Thomas Whately also influenced Jefferson's understanding of gardening and landscaping, an understanding centered on the idea of creating and controlling the illusion of wildness and of the natural. Sounds like Louis XIV in his gardens. Oh, man. That's why when certain rich liberals in certain cities, they don't want you to put anything in your front lawn besides grass. It's such a waste. Make it beautiful. Do what you want. Put vegetables. Do what you want. You gotta let freedom. It's weird when you get in these gated communities and they got all these stupid rules about what you can put on your lawn. A lawn is a waste of space, right? Utilize it. Grow some beautiful flowers. Help the pollinators, you know? Interesting.